1 year ago today, Donald Trump sent a message to Washington and the world. He ran his own playbook and he won. Now, 1 year later, Democrats are the ones celebrating. So what is the playbook now? And what do Republicans do about it? The panel tonight. Joe Borelli is here. He's a Republican New York City councilman. Reed Wilson is a national correspondent for The Hill. Christine Quinn is a former Democratic Speaker of the New York City Council. And Evan Siegfried is a Republican strategist of my favorite book, GOP, GPS. I say it every time. Yes, something's going on with my voice. Everyone just deal with it. Reed, Republicans wake up this morning, they get their political teams on the line, and they say what?
They say we have a suburban problem. Take a look at races across the country, not just in Virginia, where the race was entirely won in the Washington suburbs and the Richmond suburbs, but in places like Washington State, my home state, a suburban district in Seattle flipped control. In the entire Washington State Senate is now under Democratic control because of this one race. In places like Westchester County, Evan and I were talking about that earlier, all around the country.
Nassau County. We took the county execs back.
These are all small communities that add up to a lot.
And all around the country, those suburban voters who either weren't terribly thrilled with Donald Trump as a candidate but didn't like Hillary Clinton, or didn't vote for him terribly much in the first place in 2016, have now come out in force, swamped the rest of their states, their districts, things like that. And Republicans have now a year before the midterm elections to figure out how to reach those voters and how to differentiate themselves from a deeply unpopular president and his deeply unpopular policies, which is the big thing.
And Republicans also say, Joe, that this was a referendum. We heard that from Scott Taylor this morning. If it's a referendum, what is the result, my friend?
I think the lesson learned is that turnout is going to drive the 2018 elections. I mean,
turnout drives every election.
Right, but you saw in Northern Virginia 130,000 extra votes in the 3 counties of Northern Virginia than there were in 2013. The Western Virginia counties, where Trump's base would have been, you saw no such thing. I think the truth that we all learn is that
Trump, what does that tell you?
Trump motivates bases, both on the left and on the right. And if someone like Ed Gillespie is not willing to tap into that, well, the Democrats are going to exploit it.
Well, wait a second.
Evan, Joe is in the camp of Ed Gillespie didn't bear hug Trump enough. If he had bear hug Trump more, he would have won.
Ed Gillespie overperformed Donald Trump from 2016 by 1%, so that's gobbledygook, Joe. Now, let's look at what happened. Loudoun County in Virginia, which is normally about Democrat 1.5%.
Don't go too far in the weeds. You're going to lose.
It was 19.5% Democrat. So we're seeing more and more Democratic turnout and seeing that happen. At the same time, there's going to be the temptation on the Republican side to say, well, Ed Gillespie wasn't a true conservative. He only molded. So they're going to nominate somebody like Corey Stewart to run against Tim Kaine. And Tim Kaine is going to beat him by 10-plus points. And it's going to be a losing factor.
What this comes down to is, and as we're hearing Loudoun County, suburbs, exurbs, do state races translate to federal elections, though? Does this have anything to do with 2018? Republicans would like to say no, but I'm hearing from a Republican, yes.
It should, and it can. And I say that way because this is an amazing message, an amazing opportunity to the Democrats. But we have to seize it.
Do you think Democrats are celebrating too much too soon?
Well, I'm Irish, so I think everyone is celebrating too much too soon because the great hunger could come again tomorrow. So I will give them till Thursday, and then we need to get stepping. Because again, in December, we have a very important race in the Senate in Alabama around Jeff Sessions and have an amazing civil rights warrior running. I feel confident if we win Jersey, Virginia, and Alabama. Tougher race. But another really important thing I think for the Democrats, and I'm very proud of in what we just accomplished, we didn't just run against Trump. That catches people's attention, but once you have their attention, as Harvey Milk used to say, you need to give them hope. We didn't have that in the presidential. We didn't just give hopes. I was in Westchester over the weekend. We gave specific plans of what we would do. It's all of that.
But I mean this in the realest sense, GOP GPS. Like, use your GPS. Where are Republicans right now? What?
We don't have a message, and we have a very damaged and tattered brand. We haven't delivered results.
But to Evan's point, though, if you look at the polling of this Gillespie race, I mean, let's start here. This was what the pundits and polls predicted was going to happen. This wasn't a shocker upset for anybody. But if you look at the polling,
House of Delegates was a shocker upset.
Look at the polling for Ed Gillespie. He wasn't breaking 40% until he started talking about the issues that Donald Trump was talking about. Immigration, some of the social conservative issues like statues, which apparently a majority
of Why are Republicans on the Hill saying different than you, though? Why are they saying, why is Scott Taylor from Virginia saying, we ran this
hire
wrong?
me as a consultant. Number one.
Which I'm not sure they can.
But this is a problem that Republicans are now facing, that Democrats faced under President Obama.
Absolutely.
Obama built a winning coalition. Those voters would not show up.
And guess what Obama was really bad at doing? Getting other Democrats elected.
They would not show up when somebody not named Obama was on the ticket. This is what the problem that Republicans are going to face going forward. They have a coalition under President Trump, but will that coalition show up to vote for an Ed Gillespie, for a Scott Taylor, for any of these Republicans who are on the ballot? History suggests no.
And the other thing I think that's different than a year ago is a lot of people voted for Donald Trump because they were not excited about Hillary Clinton, or because they're like, you know what, I think we do need a change. And then they didn't know what the change was, but they wanted change. So we've gotten in the past 12 months plus a whole lot of change. But it's not the change that people believe they were promised. It's not change that's uplifted working men and women, or the middle class, or protected coal miners, jobs and health. So they know the facts, and the facts didn't meet the snake oil salesman pitch, and now they're angry and they're going to go somewhere else.
Find me the glass half full for Republicans after last night.
New Jersey, because Kim Guadagno actually did better than the polls suggested she was going to.
She was a Republican
and a lot of the results from last night in New Jersey were because Chris Christie decimated the local Republican Party. He put a lap band on it when he came in there, and that was the only one that worked for him.
Oh, my God, Evan! Answer me
That's
this.
a tweetable moment.
No, or not. Answer me this. Democrat on my show earlier today said, we will take back the House of Representatives. Are you so confident to make that declaration today?
I don't think we should ever, at this early out, make declarations about anything because it makes us overconfident. We should, and we need to fight to do that. And I believe if we fight and we have a plan and we stick to it, we'll be victorious. But I'm not so interested in throwing around big platitudes today. We got work to do, and let's do it. You shouldn't stand in the winner's circle too long, because you know what happens to people who stand in the winner's circles too long? They become losers the next time the race is run. And I want us to be mindful of that, because the America needs us to be winners.
What fun is politics without wild, broad platitudes? That's all I'm saying.
As we look at those, Virginia House of Delegates races, the places where Democrats won were districts that Hillary Clinton won last year. Now, if we move that to House races next year, there are enough House districts that Clinton won.
Stop going. Get so far ahead. There is so much time for us to fight about every exurb, district, every small town that no one out there has ever heard of for a whole year before that. Stand by. Christine, stand by. Beijing is rolling out the red carpet for President Trump. Despite trashing China during the election, the president now has some big asks for China's leader. What he wants and what he needs out of these meetings. The panel returns.
We can't continue to allow China to rape our country, and that's what they're doing. It's the greatest theft in the history of the world.
That was candidate Trump, back on the campaign trail, of course, running and winning with very tough talk against China. Now he is being wined and dined by China's leader and calling him a friend at many a turn. So which Donald Trump do we believe in? What does it all mean in the gosh darn it, my throat. What does it all mean in the context of this trip? Reed, similar question to yesterday. Which Donald Trump do you believe? Candidate Trump or President Trump? Are they the same person, and does it matter in the context of this overseas trip?
I actually think it's more interesting to watch how foreign countries are treating President Trump. The Saudis rolled out the red carpet for him. The Chinese have now done the same. They honored him with a special dinner in the Forbidden City. The first time a president has done that in 40 or 50 years, something like that. The fact is, foreign governments now know how to deal with the President of the United States. They treat him very well, and in turn, he softens their language. Now, it helps the Chinese, too, that the president needs their help on North Korea. And it is clear that the president's own view of foreign policy is evolving as he confronts some of these massive challenges that any president would face. He faces it, however, without the kind of foreign policy backgrounds that most presidents have.
Knowing how he ran very successfully, Joe, how does playing nice with China play back home, especially among the people who put him in office?
This is not unique to President Trump. I mean, when you're a candidate, you have to think of foreign policy as your constituents would feel about it. When you're a president, when you're a diplomat, you have to think about it as the other side, in this case the Chinese, would think about it. And I think he's gotten cooperation because, frankly, the Chinese are not interested in a nuclear North Korea as we are. And I think the real negotiation is happening behind the scenes on what a post-nuclear abandoned North Korea looks like. And I think that's where the Chinese have the most significant interest, and that's where they believe, I think, they can work with President Trump.
But I mean, this is likely I say this until something happens, but this is likely the biggest stop in his trip overseas.
Yes.
What can he pull off in China? Can he get any tangibles, right, as they always say? The foreign policy folks I'm talking to really question if he's going to be able to leave with anything tangible. If he doesn't, is it a failure, Evan?
Yeah, it absolutely is. The North Korea situation in China's worldview is just but a tiny piece of a much larger puzzle. China has been going and doing aggressive global expansion that undermines the United States economically and politically. And when they wine and dine Donald Trump and they say, oh, this is great, this is really good, that's all designed to help that. At the same time, Donald Trump's business partnered with China State Construction Engineering Corporation, a wholly owned Chinese government company that is engaging in that. So Donald Trump is in cahoots without even knowing it with the Chinese plan to undermine the United States. So if he doesn't get them to stop, he's being a part of the problem.
And I mean, I agree on all of what Evan just said. Also, though, to go back to what Joe said is what a lot of us said. What candidate Trump said was not true, and we would see later what was true. Unfortunately, in many cases, what he said in areas of human rights was true. But so Trump could lose substantively. Trump could lose unknowingly in a kind of corruption sense. And he could lose with the base who yet again feels duped but didn't get anything for it.
But the base, again, but again...
This is one issue where I don't think the base has abandoned him even slightly. And
Base hasn't abandoned him at all. I mean, let's be honest.
This is one issue where I think he's picking up support.
Let me say something. I shouldn't have said base. You're totally right. I don't think the base, but I think the people after the base who, from my opinion, surprisingly voted for Trump. I mean, those are going to be like, what the heck?
Do you at least hand it to the president? There was no Rocket Man in that speech last night. Tough talk, for sure.
Correct.
But it was measured rhetoric.
It was a great speech, and it was strong in his defense. I would say that.
Yes. And the real question with President Trump is he can certainly hold it together for a speech or a day or a tweet. We know that. The question is, how long can he hold it together for, and when does it fall apart? And when it falls apart, it doesn't go out with kind of a sizzle. It goes out with a bang.
North Korea policy, the policy, not the bluster, has been fantastic from day one. He is sanctioning Chinese banks and entities that have provided the economic lifeblood for North Korea.
This is my point. This is an area where actually his actions on policy are slightly increasing some of the people that maybe look at him favorably.
All right, let's see what happens tomorrow. We're not done yet. He's got a couple more days. Stand by, everybody. Day 293 of President Trump's administration. That is the state of America tonight. Election day 1 year ago. Where were you? Where are we now? Contemplate it. Deep thoughts tonight. We'll see you tomorrow.